All right, I have no idea what's going on. Oh, I think this is coming, but I want this off. Okay. Now we're gonna go here. We're gonna go here. Here. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm gonna get everything started and pinned while you're coming in. Hello. I hope everyone is doing well. Happy Thanksgiving. It is very nice in California, and it is where I am, and it is quite lovely out. So I'm in the backyard. So let me get rid of this and we will see. All right. Hello. Welcome. And try not to squint very much because it's squinty out here. We are talking about intensive speech therapy today. So I'm very excited to talk about this. These are one of my favorite things to talk about because I do agree with it so much. I think there are some great benefits to having your kid do some intensive speech therapy. So it's not for everyone. Again, not for everyone, we will talk about that today, but really we are looking, can everyone hear me? If you can't hear me, let me know. I hope you can hear me. Let's make sure all this is up. Okay, and you can put it in the chat as well if you cannot hear me. All right, so thank you for coming. I don't know where everyone is. If you want to put in the chat where you're coming from, I'm not expecting a very big group today due to the fact that everyone is on vacation. So we're just going to kind of be just us. Texas. Oh, yay. My sister leaves Texas tomorrow. Where are you in Texas? My sister's in close to Canton. I don't know if you're Canton and what's it called? Vale. I don't know if you know where Fruitvale is, but that's where my sister is coming from tomorrow. All right, so we are talking again about intensive speech therapy. We're going to talk about what that looks like because it's not only for speech, it's for multiple reasons. I do it for multiple reasons in my practice. Of course, we do normal everyday speech therapy, of course, East Texas, Mason. So Leah's East Texas as well. I don't know where Mason is. I'm in Mason, Central Texas. Oh, Canton, East Texas. Yes, you're right. Sorry, I didn't read that all the way through. Yeah, she's in East Texas. You're actually right. Okay, so we're going to be talking about it for a few things because my favorite things are social skills, speech, and language. Those are obviously my favorite things. So yeah, no, I am not. We're going to talk about a few things. So that's kind of where we're going to be beginning. All right, we've waited about 3 minutes and I think I'm going to just get started. And we are recording. So if this will go out tomorrow or the next day due to the fact of the holiday, I don't exactly know when it will get out, but this will be going out. So you'll get another copy of it. All right. Here we go. So let's share the screen and get started. So today we're talking about intensive speech therapy. And what that means is I don't know what exactly you guys are looking at. So we're going to try to get rid of all of this. Okay. And then I'm going to start my slideshow and we're going to play from here. All right. So intensive speech therapy. Thank you for coming. I kind of told you that your biggest challenges, usually in terms of speech therapy, the biggest challenge is getting that speech to carry over into connected speech and into conversation. So that's usually my difficulty there, or acquiring the initial part of speech. So an apraxia of speech, which again, I would love to know more about you and your family. So again, there's not very many of us here today. So hopefully I can get kind of distinct information. So if you tell me a little bit about yourself and your family in the chat, when I go back to the chat and come out of here, we're going to talk about that. But in terms of intensive speech therapy for speech, really, it's great for kids with apraxia. And we're working on that patterning of speech and getting the sounds to be accurate on every production. So we would be working on the intensity of oral movements and patterning during that. And then if you just had a kid that had just maybe a severe phonological or some phonological stuff, so maybe they're taking away all the blends and they're kind of taking the blends away. This is great for these kids because they get practice every day and it's very intense and very focused. And we're going to talk about what that looks like for you and your family. Okay. So if that's language, I'm going to tell you how I want you to work on it for language. If it's social skills, I'm going to tell you what I want you to do for social skills. Now, again, one of my major things for my company is we teach parents how to be the speech pathologist within their home. So really, I want you to kind of go, when we talk about this, you're taking over the role of speech pathologist. And that's how I want you to kind of take away from this. Meaning everything, we want things to work on the motor theory, 9 principles of motor theory. And that's really where our goals are going to go. So you're going to do it often and in short periods of time. Okay. So I'm going to keep talking about that as we set up our goals. All right. So what are you hoping to get out of today? What are you hoping that I can leave you with today? Please put that in the chat so I can get that correct for you as well. And you can make sure that you can move forward and do whatever you want to do after you leave. Today, you'll have everything that you need to set this up. All right. And what can cause this? All the things. It's brain, it's stroke, it's what is it called? Car accidents. It's all of the above. A lot of things can cause all of these problems, and it's hereditary, as most of things are, in terms of speech and language deficits and stuttering, and so many things are hereditary. So, yeah, lots of things can cause it. And what is your biggest worry? So in my life, when I had my children, my son is in language therapy right now. He has therapy today, later today. And my daughter was in intensive reading therapy for a while. So in my own challenges, I just want my kids to be able to thrive. And really, when life gets harder, and I'm talking about high school and like middle school, it starts to get hard. Like it's just life is just difficult, right? You have to work through those problems. Things like speech and language, I don't want my kids to be struggling with that reading, for my daughter. So those were my biggest worries is when the kids and they actually have problems that they, I don't want them doing drugs and all these things. So I want the learning part, this foundational piece of learning. I just want it very solidified in my kids. And that was my biggest worry is that their reading wouldn't be great. For Kate, it's the language piece of it in terms of being able to describe and use language. He understands it pretty well, but as soon as you ask him to describe what his day is, it's very vague and filler words, this, that stuff. He has a hard time pulling that vocabulary out. So that was really my biggest worry for my kids. Alrighty, so let's talk about intensive speech therapy. I do think there is some pivotal, it's a wonderful thing to get very intense treatment. And again, it isn't constant. We're going to do it during breaks or when you have that time. So again, if you can do it in your home with the way I'm going to teach you to do it today, you're going to see huge jumps when you're home and you can give that time to your kids and it's not annoying, right? I don't want you to be annoyed during this whole process. Kids don't like annoyed parents. They can hear it in your tone. They can see it in your movement. This is a time when you are ready to put this in for your kid. This is when I want you as this speech pathologist to take a step in, because when we're already in our busy day, in our busy life, adding more to our plate doesn't help our kids. It really makes it so. For example, I had my husband doing some of the things with my son. And they would, in terms of language therapy, and he would get very intense and kind of upset that Cade wasn't learning fast enough. And so he would be short and quick with him. And so I was like, no, I'm getting him a tutor. Because Cade and him were both butting heads so much. The learning wasn't really happening anymore. There were more butting heads than they were learning. So I do think that you have to be in the headspace as a parent to be able to do this. All right. And if not, seek help, someone like me, where we can set up your day for you and exactly what you need to do. So you're not so stressed out trying to figure out the schedule that you're losing the activity, who you are in the activity. All right. So for young children, here are some things that I want you to think about. For articulation, we're going to be using specific speech sounds during a game. So in the hierarchy, the picture, that's the very last one, this feeding one. So the picture doesn't go with anything except the last one I'm going to talk about. But for this one, I even wrote stuff down. So let's talk about articulation. So in articulation, your kids are not saying the sound correctly. So let's just say they're saying instead of, right? So it's called a lisp, and with the tongue comes out during the F sound, right? So they may have a lisp, or they have phonological process where they take all their blends and they usually knock it down to one sound or they change it. So instead of a slide, it's a lied. Instead of a snail, it's a nail, right? So they change it and they take it down to one. So I'm going to, with that, what I want you to do is get go write down. So you go and you get your piece of paper and you write stuff down. And I wrote it down for you today, and just to give you some ideas. So let's just say your child is struggling with K and G. So they're fronting, they're taking the k and turning it into a k. So instead of being a cat, it's a cat, right? Or instead of being go, it's doe, or a dod, right? Instead of a dog. All right. So those are the things I'm talking about. So sound production is what the one I'm talking about up here. So K and G, you're going to get your games out, and I brought different ones. So Spot It for littles, right? Spot It is a fun one. And this, they have a junior and they have an adult size, and it just gives you more pictures on there in case you're wondering. So there you go. And they're on every single turn. Now again, if your kid is in the new stage of learning what speech therapy and the intensive therapy, it would just be go. I go, right? For the G and the K. So I go, and you flip it. I go, I go, I go every time. So he's saying it over and over and over and over again, right? Or cat, goat, cheese, pizza, right? It's a game. They have to say these words in this order when you flip the card over. So sometimes they're going to be using the k in cat, the taco, the cheese has nothing, the pizza has nothing, but the goat has a g. So this game is great for your K's and G's, right? So a game where they're consistently using that sound, and you're done. Now you're going to do that game a few times throughout the day. So I want you to do the game in the morning. I want you to do a different game in the afternoon. And you can do even a game that has more like a spinner, or it has cards that you have to flip over. So here are some of the words if you're doing K and G. I would go into the internet and just look up K and G words, blends as blend words. So here's some of the ones for K and G. Can you give me the dice? Can you give me the spinner? Can you give me the spinner? They have to use it in a few of them. You can get whatever that item is that they need to have for the game is the one you're going to use, right? And then another one, glad to go, right? So g. So again, go in, you go girl, you go guy, right? Or if your name was Colby, where it starts with a K, you go Colby. So again, you're working on that sound often, a lot, right? Okay, so give me the game piece. So you can just keep going through, and you just go and make words with those, and you're going to do the games often throughout the day, and you're going to do it every single day, often, right? And I even want when you do an oral motor therapy with me, you have to do this anyways because we're changing oral movement. So oral motor movements in terms of muscle movement, which is the next one we're going to talk about, is more intense in terms of if you are with me, I want you doing this homework every single day anyways, because I need to change the way your muscles move, which is a hard thing to do. These kids are doing a lot of hard work in speech therapy. Just know that they're working their little booties off, right? Okay, so let's just talk about articulation and S blends. Let's talk, we were on that S blend one, right? So it's my spin. So they have to use that every single time. Now, if they can't do it with it's, because there's that TS, it. So another blend goes right there. And it's so you're even getting a bit of a SM blend in there. It's my turn, right? So, or it's my spin. There's more than one in there. So again, you're putting that S blends in often, and they say it on every single turn. It's my spin. It's your spin. So they have to use the word correctly and all often. Next time, it's my spin. So next, it's my spin, right? Lots of them. And so with a little kids love actuals. I didn't bring any actuals with me, but usually play like food, right? And so we're going to make stew. And I make stew with everything. I don't even care if it's a fork, right? I make stew with everything because it's a kid and they think it's fun. So you're going to say no slicing that for stew if it's a fork, right? No slicing that for stew, all those S blends. Or you could go and yes, please slice that. So I'm going to put you on mute, Laura. Okay, there you go. Anyways, so there again, you're just going to really want to keep those. You're going to find all their S, whatever that sound is that they're making, F, V, whatever those sounds are that are not good for you. That's the one for your child or your grandkid or whoever you're here for. That's the one I want you to jump in for, that articulation and using specific words, games, sounds, and you're doing it often with all of your games, right? Get them out. Okay. Next, for oral motor, where is the breakdown? Again, I would be signing up for a sign with a little time with me, and we'll tell you where the oral motor breakdown is for that sound. And then I'll tell you what to do for the oral motor, because it's going to be different. So again, if your kid has a lisp, so they're saying the S instead of the S, so they're giving you a TH instead of a, right? The problem is the tongue is low and forward in the mouth. Just by telling them to mush their teeth together isn't going to fix the lisp, because as soon as they go into normal speech with their mouth moved with their friends, out comes the tongue again. You got to teach them to move that tongue and hold it back and move different muscle movement. You need to put your muscle in a different spot. And so that's why it's a little bit different for that one. So with this one, I would be having you at every single time you have your blinker on. And I know it's very hard for me to say every single time, but that's our goal, right? And I give all my parents that come into my office, or I ask you guys to make sticky notes. And I know most people don't do it. That's why I like to give them as you leave my office. But it's a sticky note and it tells you exactly what oral motor I want you working on. So if it's spot, suction, whatever that is, you're working on that every time your blinker is on. So it's short periods of time, often throughout the day. So everyone in the car does it. You know, if it's important to you, it's important to your kid. And if you're doing suction and they're doing suction and we're seeing who can do it longer, it's more fun and they understand, oh, there's a point to this. I see my mom and dad doing it with me. I get it now. So if you're doing suction, let's say for that S or lisp, that lisp for the S, it would look like this. The whole time the blinker's on, right? And then you start driving and you start talking and the conversation's back, right? So it's not like I'm asking you to do it the entire time. It's just often when the blinker's on. So even if, let's just say, again, the S and Z, you really need to pull that tongue in and to get accurate with the tip as well. And so maybe you were holding spot the entire blinker time. Again, there are different ones that I want different people doing, because if it's K and G, I want you doing a back one where you move the back of the tongue up and down. So that movement of just the movement of the muscle, which makes the K and G. See how my tongue goes up in the back? You don't need sound. You just need to teach the muscle to do that. So I'm going to give you actual exercises that teach the muscle what to do. Then we will add sound once we know the kid's muscle or the adult's muscle for a stroke or something, you know, brain injury or something. We know that the muscle can do it. Now I feel comfortable asking for the sound production. And the kid has much more success in that way because they already have the muscle control. All right, storytelling. I love storytelling too. Why? Because you get to learn so much about kids and their families. So I want you to start taking those books out and pictures and take them out. Now, this is great for all activities. Mind you, storytelling is something that you can use for speech, language, artic, stuttering, everything. So think of this. When you think of easy things to do for speech therapy, think of this, right? Make books for your kids. So you fold the pieces of paper in half and you fold them again and you cut and then you make little books, right? And it's pictures of their real life. When they went to Disneyland, when they went for a haircut, when they went here. Kids love telling their grandparents and their friends about their life. Everyone does. Come on, think about it. Life is stories. We all tell about our vacations and what we did. It helps the kid understand the sequence of what you did. So they can look at it. They can be on the phone with grandma and grandpa. And first we drove on the airplane and we had terrible food and mom threw up. And then we got off the airplane, we got all of our luggage and they forgot mom's luggage. So again, you're getting detail, you're getting all of the things that really go well in a story, what everyone wants, color, movement, smells, all these things that kids often forget in stories. You put it in here and you make it very vivid and you talk to them about it, and then they start taking that over as well. It's really a really wonderful way to work on it. I work on it with a lot of my next below language kids. Even language. So as they begin to read, use the words to their advantage. Put the words that they're not using in the book. So when they repeat it often over and over, this word starts to become what is it, like, known and used, and they understand how to move it around in the speech sentence. So it's grammatically structured, no matter if it's the first word in the sentence, the last word in the sentence. That's what I'm speaking of about that. So, and gosh, of course I'm going to forget the word, but me and my son had therapy the other day, and it was actually, he was practicing with his tutor, and it was, oh my goodness, what is the word? And it's a very long word. It starts with an O, and it's what you read in like comic books, and it's wham, grr, bleh. It's all those just the words that mean sounds. Anyways, there's a word that means that. If anyone knows what it is, put it in the chat. Go tell me. Someone was going to say something. Anyways, if you know it, take yourself off mute and tell it to me. And my son, it was on Young Sheldon. We were watching Young Sheldon the other night, and he's like, I know that word. We did that in my story. And it was when they were reading, because Cade likes comic books. He's young. And so anyways, they really start to understand words when they're in context, when they're in their own life or their own story, and it's their own world wrapped up in a nice little book. And you can have 6 or 7 of them, right? So intensive speech therapy, you'd be making a new book every day and killing that book every day, going over it often, here and there, often, often, often. So that's the intensive part, because when you back off next week, when you go back to work and you're at work, guess who still remembers the story you told every single day? And guess who's using that at school? Because that's a big part of our lives, is going out and sharing our stories with all of our friends out in the world. And so that's what I want you to think about, is this storytelling and language is so fantastic to move into articulation. Because again, now that they have everything ready, now I can talk about, and I'm just using the K and the G here, about all with all their sounds, and it can be on point with the clarity of speech. Cool. All right, cool. All right, so feeding. Feeding is another fun one. I love it. I just love kids, I think, really. But learning how to tolerate just being on the plate or in the same room really is the first step. So when my kids start with bananas, for some reason, children, when we're their babies and we feed them, they eat whatever we make, and then they start getting a little bit of an attitude or a personality, and they're like, nope, not eating that. So I have a lot of kids that once they get, I would say 3s is when I usually see my first picky eating, like, hardcore picky eating, where it's very, very, they only eat 5 or 10 things. Picky eating is where you have a very small repertoire of food. So I just want the banana on the plate, on the table. So if they can't handle it on the plate, you start with it on the table, right? Just the banana on the table, and then it moves to on their plate. And then they have to do something with the food. Somehow they have to interact with the food. It's not with just their finger. Usually it's with a utensil of some kind is what we do with that. And then we smell it. Again, smelling causes gagging all the time. It's crazy how some of these kids, they really do have a really hard time. And then we touch the food. Now we're going to start getting a little more interactive with the food. I remember when my kids were little, and my daughter was a little more of a picky eater, but she would just go and take the food and be like on her lips, nope, not eating that. Nope. And it was just, she could taste it and smell it right through her lips. So again, even some of my kids, I haven't touched their shoulder. Even, I know it sounds weird, but just getting it closer to their face is the problem. So if you can just take the banana and touch it to your shoulder and then wash it off, we're getting closer to getting up to touch it to the cheek, touch it to the ear, touch it to your nose, touch it to your chin. It doesn't have to go in the mouth. It doesn't have to go in the mouth. It's all the way 6 steps. And this could be 6 weeks. Every week you're going to conquer a goal, right? And so that's kind of what I want you to think about. So with this is really where we want to take it up, just very, very slowly. And when I say nibble, it's this. My kids don't have to eat much and taste much. It's very minimal until they're ready. And usually it moves pretty fast, faster than you think. But this is kind of the hierarchy that I want you to go on if you want your kids to start eating new foods. And again, every single day you're doing this, and it's every meal, every snack, everything. Remember, intensive, very focused. I want them eating this food, this food, this food, and this food. So, you want to get your hierarchy of what foods you as a parent want them to eat. And even if it's your dinner, let's just say you want them to eat what your family is eating, make sure that you put that with them on the table, and it's closer. So again, they're slowly getting ingrained with what they need for your family. Because this is about you guys, not about what the rest of the world needs. It's about what your family wants your family to do. All right, let's keep going. Okay, what do I have to do here? Okay, very focused. So we are getting very focused. I want you to be very in terms of, again, I think I've kind of told you all of this, but I want things very focused. All right. I want you to have your goals, and I have the SMART goals pulled up from when I taught it last time, because we're going to go over what that means. Okay. So apraxia of speech. So if you do have apraxia of speech in your family, this is why. Apraxia of speech is often one of the things that does intensive speech therapy. And my neurodiverse kids. So even my kids with ADHD, yes, they do our social skills, because they're having such a hard time, difficulty making and keeping friends, which I think is here, making and keeping friends, that we really want them to start making and keeping friends. So they come to a class every single day with their peers and they practice. So when they go back out to school, they can use those social skills that they have learned here in intensive therapy, and how to move it. So getting in and out of a conversation, how to deal with bullies. What do you do when you have a bully? Where do you go? What do you do? How do you have people come over to your house? How do you plan? What does that look like? So even my, adults, which we're going to talk about a little more teen, I have them in therapy. And then I have my, young adults in the relationship ones, because there's certain ways and certain things you do when you start courting someone, and how you act and how you don't act. And a lot of our kids that are neurodiverse, they get a little fixated on one thing that they should be doing. They forget that there's a diverse, and they look weird, if you will. So we need to, give them more options of things that they can do if they like somebody, than just go sit and stare at them. Okay, let's keep going, which we are. Okay, so even for my teens, yes, I have teens that come to my office. If you have a teenager that is in speech therapy, so ours is a sticky one, right? I have teenagers with I got to break your pattern. And the more often you do intense therapy, the better. So I do have clients that come to me 3 times a week, but for shorter periods of time. So you pop in, we do therapy, and they pop out. And I give the parents specific sentences we're going to work on all day. Every day you're going to come in and you're going to do this, and then you're leaving, and the rest of the day for today and tomorrow. And by the time I see you on Wednesday, these are easy, because you've been killing them, So anyway, and by killing them, I mean practicing often. Okay, and then we role play debates club. Again, children have after COVID, my teenagers are really not understanding what their social bodies should do. They don't know who they need to be in each situation. They don't understand that you be someone different in math for your strict math teacher than someone in art that is a gentle, nice art teacher. Those are two different who you need to be. The way that I am very different in a restaurant than in my home, right? It's just different. And I know who I need to be in that situation. When I go into debate club, I know that my voice gets louder, more clear. I change who I am for this situation. And our children have a hard time, because they were during that developmental time when they're learning how to change. They were locked in front of one of these doing school. And so it's very hard to change who you are, right? You don't have to get ready. You don't have to be clean. You don't have to do a lot of things in front of a computer. So I do a lot of things for my teenagers, middle schooler and high schools, in the area of public speaking, friendship, who you need to be, how you act appropriate, what with your friends you cuss, with your teachers you don't. There's all these things. All right. And then here are more of in terms of speech therapy for older kids. This is really what we do in this area. Okay, so where are we on? I'm going to get out of here so I can see, number one, what time it is and what we're doing in the chat. So, I am Bangladesh. Nice to meet you. 8-year-old speech therapy has dyslexia. Interventions took 2 years to get started. I'm so sorry. Do you know in California, if you have you need an autism diagnosis, it's a 5-year wait. And if you're over the age of 6, it's another 2. So you don't even start therapy until you're 8 and you've missed it. It's so sad. Anyways, okay. So dyslexia interventions took 2 years to get started. Just wanted to get to grade level. Okay. So only dyslexia is what I'm hearing there, and maybe some speech. So I'm wondering if there's language involved in that. So for this, I would go to the storytelling. And on that note, oh man, of course I'm having a hard time with my words, but I have a book for you. And where did you go? I don't see you, Karina. Oh, there you are. Katrina, there's a book, Katrina, and sorry, I'm looking at your little picture of you right there, but I need to tell you a book, and it is a speech and therapy book, and it is for storytelling. Now, again, you're going to make the sentences this much harder in each book of the week, right? So you're gonna have like in your own mind, level 1, Tuesdays, level 2, Wednesdays, level 3. So it's going to get a little bit harder in terms of the verbiage that you kind of are going to be using in there. So I want you to make things very visual. So what do they see? What do they look like? And in the stories, you're going to start at the top. When I went to Colby's backyard, okay, we're going to just do that. I went to Colby's backyard. I saw a wood and it was two-tone in color. There was two-tone in color. And then she had some lights. And then Colby's hair was dark. And so I distinctly tell very much the visual of what I see, right? This is before I'm writing anything down. I'm sitting with my kiddo. And we went in her backyard and it was brown at the top. And this is this. And I go all the way down. Her eyes are blue and she didn't have any lipstick on and she wore a white shirt and it was tight around her neck. But her arms were kind of out. You couldn't really see anything below her upper chest. Okay, now Joey, or whatever your child's name is, what did it look like in Colby's backyard? Well, there was a brown thing. Yeah, there was a brown thing. A brown patio cover. And then again, you're getting and letting him give you the words about where he is. Now we put it into written language. So he's reading almost his own speech, but you've made it grammatically correct. Right? So you have already structured the activity to where all he has to do is read, because in the beginning, the reading is the activity. It's not the knowledge part. And when you're little, you read to learn, and then you learn to learn to read, and then you read to learn, right? Because you're not focusing on sounding out words. Now you're taking in the knowledge of what you learned. So in the beginning, due to his dyslexia, he's going to be sounding out the words, not learning the language. He's going to be thinking about the sound and how do I break down each sound to make that an actual word. He's not taking in that the word that he's learning. Is this making sense? So as he goes, and the more often he does that, the more often I go in and I change the verbiage in there. So if it was my backyard, not only were there lights above me, but they were different colored lights, right? Or there was green, red, and yellow. Again, a more distinction, more definition, more detail in the actual writing, because that will make him more detailed in his speech every day. I hope that helped. Okay, I'm from Maryland, grandson 13. Many learning disabilities have speech therapy, not always consistent. Is 13 not old for improvement? It is not too old for improvement. Wonderful. I'm glad you liked it. No, but it is harder. Now, speech, the actual speech part is hard. The language isn't done yet. His language learning isn't done. So the speech, your brain is pretty much done. And really you're thinking about planning, organizing, and that's going to be your frontal part of your frontal lobe. So that really happens. Everything above like 15, 16 is that we're doing this part of the brain up here. And that's why planning and organizing is hard for us ADHDers, is because that's that front part. So really, again, if I would need a little bit more detail, Faith, but from what I'm seeing in terms of learning disabilities, we're kind of what I would call global, and you're going to be thinking about all of the above. So in the morning when grandson, when your grandson is in the morning, and how are they feeling? What is their activity, right? Because we're going to build it into his day as much as we can, because our 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds are not very fun. I have one. We need, so for my daughter, usually for her, it's crocheting. Okay. So she's got really into crocheting. So I have to go into her space. And if I was doing with her, this is when I could get Berkeley to do some artic with me, like sitting in her bed and, okay, babe, we're going to start doing some speech sounds. All right. So my turn, your turn. And at 13, oh, it's not going to be my turn, your turn. I need a little bit more information, Faith, but you're going to go in and you're going to have him talk to you about sounds. You're going to play a game with him, a gauge appropriate.
And I'll be okay smoked.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was Faith coming off. But you're going to do whatever that part of, again, intensify in terms of getting very specific. In the morning, I'm going to do this, right? And I'm going to do it every single day. And then the middle of the day after lunch, we're going to do this every single day. And before bed, we're going to do this every single day. Now for him, what's that name? Battleship. Great game, Battleship. It's thinking, it's planning, it's remembering, it's all the things, right? It's a lot for the game Battleship. Now, so in the beginning, you got to teach the game. So again, no, for first we teach. The first time is always teaching, unless you know how to play the game. And then we start adding in. Think about I wish I knew what his sounds were. Okay, so we're just going to say they're S and Z. I mean, yeah, K and G. So, can I go? And then he's going to tell you 8A or, whatever the little letters are on there. So again, you're playing the game and we're very structured and getting the sounds, what we're going to do. Now, then you're going to go into, if there's other things you want to work on, like language, we're going to do a language intensity. Now, again, I don't know very much about a 13-year-old. And again, this needs to be very individualized for a 13-year-old because I want him to be engaged. If I throw activities out at you and he doesn't like them, they're going to get thrown to the side and you're going to be arguing and fighting. So it can't be that. So let's just say it's putting the spoons and knives and dishes away, or there's something that is already has to do in your life. Add an activity to that it requires language. Tell me every time he hands you a spoon, he has to tell you as many category, and you're going to name a category, right? So all the plants you can think of, and he has to start naming plants, which I know that plants isn't probably a good one, but football teams, and then you're going to tell me all the baseball teams. All right, knife, baseball teams, go. And he has to like name out all these categories of baseball teams or something to where you're starting to get very think about his goals that he has if he has an IEP or something like that, and which one is most important to you. Get very clear on which goal in his IEP is most important to you, and how do I kill that goal? And that's really the better thing about intensive speech therapy is think about one thing you want your kid to do, and how can I measurably in 1 week, I want him to be able to get, right? So again, when we go back into the SMART goals, where's my SMART goals? Right here. I want it to be, oh wait, no, I got to go back. I want it to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? I want it to be very, very specific, meaning, let's go over here. I will read for 20 minutes every day to improve my reading skills, right? So he's going to do it every single day so he can see it. They're going to do math facts every single day. Every day we're going to get very, very clear about what we're going to do. And I would put a time on it. So because your kids are just different when they're with you than when they're with me. I'm the boss and they know that they don't really pull my strings. And so when I say do it, they usually do it, right? Even if I have to, finagle a little bit, I can usually always get kids to do what I need them to do because I'm not mommy. And so again, I need you to read 20 minutes every day and I'm going to time you and we're going to count how many more words are you get in 20 minutes, right? So you're going to start making goals that are very specific for your kid. We want to help them develop organization, time management, all the things that are hard for all of our kids and are hard for me, even at my age. All of these are hard. So the more specific you can get. So even in my own life for adults, I don't want to work out anymore. So my changing it was I will go on a 2-mile walk every morning to keep my fitness. And my fitness has gone up the roof since I took myself out of the gym and made that not my goal since it wasn't relevant to me. I don't like driving to the gym. I have too many things to do. But can I get up early and go for a walk in my already jammies? Sure can. And so that has changed me and my fitness. I'm happier in the morning and I don't even have to think about it anymore. It's just something I do every morning. So again, the more often you do this and you do it intensely, when you kind of back up and your kid goes to school, you're going to find out that some of these things are sticking because you have organized, managed, and they've created something by doing it every single day. Living up to something, a commitment is a wonderful thing. When I took leadership classes and we learned that living up to your commitments, if you say you're going to do something, do it for the own thing of I did what I said I was going to do. It's really very powerful in terms of self esteem and having confidence in yourself that you did what you said you were going to do. I don't even let my kids do much if they say it. Now, coming home from someone's house when they're scared might be it. But if you told someone you would spend the night at your house, you're at least going to go have dinner with them. If you joined cheerleading and you're scared to go sit on the field, you're at least going to go sit and watch them and be a part of it. If we make a commitment, we live up to our commitments. It's just something in my family, and my kids have great self-esteem because of it. Anyways, okay, let's keep going. Setting smart goals. Okay, so we're starting with a very clear vision. If you already have an IEP, you might have the clear vision already written for you if you agree with it, right? You want to be very specific. They have to be specific in their goals. They give you a what did they look like, a baseline of where they started and then where they're hoping to get within 1 year, right? They give you both sides of that in your IEP. And then you're going to break down the goal into smaller pieces. This is what they don't do for you, where you have a harder time. Again, it's free, 30 minutes. Bring your IEP to me, or one of my team members, and we'll sit and go through it with you and what you exactly need to do. Because I do not want you working on 8 things a day. I want you to get very clear. The only person, Faith, I don't even think it was you. Who was I just speaking to? That has a child, this where you have many learning disabilities. What is Faith? Faith, if yours the one that I might give more goals to, but we're very clear. We're very lasered in what are we doing and how do I get there? And that's the only thing I'm doing. So again, for my oral motor clients that I have every single day, that I require every single day work because it's changing a muscle movement. Where was I going with this? You have to do the movements every single day, and I break it down for you. And the easiest way to break down anything is to do it when your blinker's on. Anytime you do something with the blinker on, again, you're going to just get used to it and do it more often. My eyebrow looks funny. Okay, so questions. If you want to tell me who your kid is, what the problems are, let's see if we can design something for them, because that's really what I want. And then I'm going to send you, I'll show you what I'm going to send you. This, we're done with that. Oh, we're done with this too. Oh, sorry, this is, I got to get out of my things and get to my desktop so I can open it to show you. Alrighty, right here. And this is going to be your goal sheet is what I want you guys. And I'm going to send this. Can you put your emails that you want it going to in the chat right now? If you want it, I'm going to show it to you. If you want it, I'll send it to you. And this is what you're going to use. So week of, so it's every single week for an entire month. If it's a 5-week month or a 4-week month, you're going to put your goal here, what you're going to do, or you can write your goal here and write it, whatever is best for you. And then you're going to do it morning, midday, and PM every single day at the least. You're going to do it 3 times a day at the least. If I could get you to do it to where you're doing about 10 to 15 minutes of speech a day, or goals, whatever your goal is. I shouldn't say speech, whatever your goal is, and you can do it for 15 minutes a day. So 2 in the morning, 2 in the car, 2 before, 2 after lunch, 2 in the car again when we go get dessert, 2 before in front of the mirror before we go to bed, where you're again, often in short periods of time. So if I asked you to go outside, and I'm sorry, I'm very visual. So if you've seen me do this 100 times, it's because it's real. If I asked you to go outside and all day long, you have to walk with a limp all day. No breaking your limp, because that's a pattern. It's a muscle movement. How many times would you make a mistake walking like that? 100, especially when you're busy and you're like, wait a second, I got to get somewhere. You would forget to do it. And that's what's happening with speech therapy. The muscle goes back to what it was doing 5 seconds ago. If you don't do it often in short periods of time to break the current muscle pattern, you're breaking it. And so that's what I want you to do is go think about, I'm breaking my kid, and, think of this in the nicest way possible. I'm breaking something in them. So I need to teach it gently, often, gently, often, gently, often. That's it. That's the name of this game in terms of intensive speech therapy or therapies in general. We do this with OT, PT, lots of things. Okay, there it is. Let's get out of here. All right, my friends, what can I help you with? Oh, perfect. Thank you for giving me your emails. All right, questions? You may take yourself off mute. I'm going to sit here, and if you don't have questions, then we're done. I'm going to go put in the potatoes for tomorrow. Take yourself off mute. Anybody? Okay. I'm going to kind of take that as a no. Any other questions? Stuttering? Anything? Faith, please send me that chart. Of course. And anything else you might share? Yes, Faith, I do these every month. I do them on social skills, language, and speech. So those are my areas that I love. And so those are the only 3. And I try to rotate them out. Pretty sure next month is social skills. But again, these are, our kids are usually very intertwined. And so, speech and how articulate you are in your speech talks about how how your friends see you. And your language goes into that. And then your social skills go into that. So these are skills that build on top of each other. But like I talk about bullying and talking about throwing a party. I have ADHD. I was never a person that I liked parties, but that's because I used substances to get through it for many, many years. Um, and now I don't like lots of people. However, I do know that, you have to throw parties. So now I throw parties. I just threw one. My backyard it has all the stuff. We had a Christmas party for my son's football team. That's why there's no tables and anything out here is because I had, where you put tables everywhere for like a banquet or something. And all my little lights, I don't know if you guys can see it, but they're hanging and they turn on and they're colorful. It's very fun. Yay, team. But I love throwing parties now because I know how to do it and I know how to organize myself to where I'm not overwhelmed and I don't have to and I hate this, but a lot of people with ADHD, I used substances for years. And it's not fun and you don't really like yourself when you do it. So when you learn that there are ways to organize your life to where you don't feel in chaos anymore, life gets so much better. At least it did for me.
Colby.
Yes.
Hi, this is Faith. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I haven't listened to any of your other
Yeah.
webinars until today, although I get your emails all the time. And do you ever do like private sessions where somebody like me or my grandson's mother can just talk to you a little more, even if we have to pay something for it, to kind of get a better idea?
Yes,
I'm
I do a parent coaching. I do parent coaching and that's what that is. So I teach the parents whatever they want to learn.
okay. Okay. Can you send me some information on that too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Okay.
what
Okay.
Faith, my advice to you on that's going to be is I'm going to send you also the link to schedule a 30-minute session with me. If your daughter can
Okay.
also get the same link. So once you get the
Right.
link, you share it with her, no matter where she is.
Right.
Then
Right.
all three of you can pop on and we'll kind of talk about what you're looking for and what you want, what your goals are, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. Okay, so I offer that to everyone. If you want to come and have a chat with me, bring whoever you want. I do parent coaching. I just got a new kid that is 17 and has really terrible speech. And so I met with him on with this Zoom and he is in college, so he doesn't even live with his parents, but I sit with him once a week and help him. And it's really for movement. He is a mumbler and man does he mumble because he doesn't move anything. So if you don't move anything, it's really hard to understand someone's speech. So I'm like, whoa, we gotta move those lips. So yes, is the answer to that. I work with lots of people on Zoom. Alrighty. Anything. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. Wonderful Thanksgiving. Have a happy, happy day. And I will be here next month. And I think we're doing it the week. I don't even remember, but I think it's the week before Christmas. So it's not the last Wednesday of the month. And again, I think it's on social skills. I'm sorry, I'm not more organized. But I'm not, that's just kind of who I am. But yeah, if you need anything, let me know. I'm happy to help and I'm happy to do that. So I'm going to grab all your guys' emails out of here and start sending you the that goal sheet. All right. Good luck. If you need anything, call me, email me. Do you want my email? It's on my website, but you probably already know it. It's info at family first speech therapy.com. There you go. And you can call me. 76, it's the office number, so you can leave a message. And when I get back to the office, I'll call you. Here's my phone number, 696. Oh, 696. Nope, that's wrong. 760-696-3456. That's what it is at the office. There you go. So if you need anything, happy Thanksgiving. Yep. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, guys. Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful day. I'm just going to stop recording and then send you guys the email. Where is the record button? I have a feeling I might have to close this for a second. I don't really know. Yep. All right. So I will be here for a hot second. You guys can jump off if you want, but I'll sit here for a minute and go through these and make sure everybody gets their sign. So if you have questions and want to talk while I'm doing this, now that we're not recording, some people don't like to be on the recorded part. Oh, is this gonna take forever? Ugh, me and my amazing tech skills. That worked. All right, let's see. Did I get them all? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I hope that's it. Okay. All right, everyone. I'm going to sign off. Have a great day. This is coming right now. Have a good day. Bye-bye. You know what? I don't really need to save this chat. There's not much in this chat. You know. Okay.